I'm sure many of you already have the unit circle memorized, and others of you have it memorized, or maybe you just have it memorized for a day or a week or for however long you need it for the quiz, and then you forget it again. So I'm going to offer you a trick that I think works really well so that you have the unit circle with you all the time. It's called the hand trick. So at the end of this lesson, you'll be able to give sine and cosine coordinates using the unit circle and your hand. I'm going to go ahead and show you the hand trick. Our hand is basically the unit circle in the first quadrant. So if we can learn the first quadrant, then we're set to do all the other quadrants. So thinking of our hand, this is going to be 0, pi over 6, pi over 4, pi over 3, pi over 2. Let me do that again. 0, pi over 6, pi over 4, pi over 3, pi over 2. Okay, now I want you all to get those hands out because you're going to now do them with me. So get those hands held up high, and here we go. 0, pi over 6, pi over 4, pi over 3, pi over 2. All right, the next thing is, now that we know that, we need to know that the cosine is going to be the upper values and the sine is going to be the lower values. So the first thing that we do, like let's say I would like to find pi over 3. So I'm going to go to 0, pi over 6, pi over 4, pi over 3. We're going to put pi over 3 in. The number on the top is going to be the cosine, so how many fingers I have left on the top is the cosine. The fingers that I have down below will be the sine. So if I'm looking at the cosine of pi over 3, the cosine, since I have one finger, that will be 1/2. And the sine, I have 3 fingers underneath, that will be the square root of 3 over 2. Okay, let's do another one. Let's say I would like to do pi over 4. So if I do 0, pi over 6, pi over 4, put my pi over 4 finger in, and so the cosine is what's on top. There's 2 fingers, so the cosine of pi over 4 would be square root of 2 over 2, and the sine would be the fingers below, and there are 2 fingers once again, so it will be the square root of 2 over 2. Okay, if we're dealing with, which one didn't I do yet? Pi over 6, so 0, pi over 6, there we go. Notice the cosine is my upper finger, so the square root of 3 over 2, because there's 3 fingers, and down below there's 1 finger, so the sine would be 1/2. All right, ones I didn't do 0, so if we have 0, 0 is right here, so notice all of my fingers are above 0, so all of them would be 1. And for the sine, there are no fingers underneath, so the sine at 0 is 0. Okay, and then for pi over 2, here's pi over 2 up at my thumb. The cosine, nothing is up here above my thumb, so the cosine of pi over 2 is 0. And then down below are all of my fingers, and all of my fingers would represent 1. So that's pretty much how you do it. Now let's translate that into if I have to find something in a different quadrant. So let me go ahead and write down. Let's say I would like to find the cosine of 3/4 pi. One thing that I like to do first when I'm doing these, I don't need to draw the whole unit circle, but I just draw a circle, and I'm going to think, first of all, it's a pi over 4 value, so if I've got my hand out, I know pi over 4 is 0, pi over 6, pi over 4 is right here, so I'm going to put that finger in. I want the cosine, so I want the numbers above it, so I do know my value is going to be the square root of 2 over 2, and now I just need to figure out whether it's going to be positive or negative. And 3/4 pi I know is a little bit before pi, so I know it's going to be over here, and the cosine or the x value over there is going to be negative, so that will be negative square root of 2 over 2. Okay, let's try a couple more of those. Let's go ahead and see if we can do the sine of, let's do 7/6 pi. Okay, first thing, there's a 6 on the bottom, so we're going to deal with our first quadrant and find pi over 6, which would be this finger right here. So I'm going to tuck that finger in. The sine is what's on the bottom. There's 1 finger down there. So this one is going to be 1/2. And then we just need to figure out where 7/6 pi is. Well, 7/6 is a little bit more than 1, so we know it's going to be down here. The sine is the y value, and the y value down there is negative. So there we go. All right, let's try one more. Let's say I would like to find the cosine of, let's do maybe 5/3 pi. So if we do 5/3 pi, the first thing is, again, we're going to deal with pi over 3. So if I use my fingers here and do pi over 3 is up here, so I'll tuck that in. And then when I do pi over 3, it's the cosine, it's the one on top, so it's going to be 1/2. And then from there, 5/3 is pretty close to 2 because 6/3 would be 2. So it's going to be a little bit before 2. The cosine would be the x value over here, and that is positive. So that's pretty much how you can use the hand trick. As long as you have your hand with you, you have the unit circle.